Alright, pop quiz time. What's going to happen in the next few seconds now that this guy's connected to my base? Is it A, they will say hello and tell me I'm a cool dude, B, destroy my bed and kill me, or C, Meta, you just stole this bit from Hypixel, get some original ideas for once. So, what will it be? What? God damn it, you answered C? Typical, the one time I used an idea from a different creator, everyone gets mad at me, I swear to God. So this is your bed. If you die, you respawn here. If the bed is destroyed, you do not respawn and you lose the game. Destroy everyone else's bed and kill people on that team, kill everyone else, and you win. Simple enough game on its surface, but there's a lot inside this shell that is Bed Wars. There are many strategies and items that can lead you and your team to victory. The only thing standing between you and your team and victory is a bunch of other people, ranging from the newest of people to the biggest of tryhards. I do have to preface, this is not a tutorial on how to get good. This is merely a video about Bed Wars, its mechanics, and how to use those to your advantage. I am giving you the tools to break the bed, and you gotta use them usefully. With that preface out of the way, let's look into our toolbox, shall we? Seeing as you die when your bed is gone, you kind of want to keep your bed from being destroyed, and you have a large gallery of blocks to protect your bed with, ranging from wool to obsidian. Wool is the quickest one to use, but is the weakest type of defense to be used. See here, my team and I used wool defense to protect our bed, and our bed was gone within 5 minutes. Wool is quick and easy to put down and surround your bed with, which gives the tryhards time to quickly rush everyone around them. It's a super quick and dirty way to defend the bed, one that's not very smart. However, since it's such a cheap material, it is absolutely perfect for bridging to other bases and bridging to the middle. Next block is the wooden planks, and these ones are not cheap, costing 4 gold to get 16 blocks of this item. Wooden planks take longer to destroy, but they're easy to break nonetheless. The problem with that strategy is that you have to be extremely stealthy to even try to do that, because by the time you're breaking the wood block, reinforcements have arrived and they're going to stab the hell out of you before you can even try to get to bed. So wood blocks are a good way to start out a game of Bed Wars, seeing as they can keep the tryhards away long enough for your team to arrive and keep your bed alive. Next block, end stone. This is the best starting material. If I was ranking these, end stone would get an A. While it isn't cheap, it's by using iron. It spawns out of a generator pretty quickly, and it allows players to create a pretty strong defense pretty quickly. And you'd have to get a pickaxe to even try to break the block, which gets rid of the problem that wood and wool have. Endstone is extremely good for a block that you can buy with iron, one that you should definitely start with. Next up, blast-proof glass. This one has only one purpose, and that's to deflect explosive things like fireballs and TNT. We'll explore those two items later. But in the long run, it's kind of worthless. With TNT, you can just break a block of the glass, then place the TNT right there and get the bed that way. The best thing that the blast-proof glass can repel is a fireball, but it's kind of worthless in repelling TNT, which is the real explosive item that really matters. And finally, obsidian. Yes, stained clay and sandstone exist, but they're the equivalent of endstone with less defense power. Obsidian is pure pain for any casual player, and even any hardcore player. Imagine this, you get to another base's bed, you place your TNT, and in the middle, you see a layer of obsidian. Your soul just leaves your body when that happens. Obsidian is the strongest block in the entirety of Bed Wars. The only way to break a bed's defense made of that shit is to get a diamond pickaxe. You have to constantly upgrade to even stand a chance of getting there. The only caveat is that it costs like 6 emeralds to even try and purchase, so it's more of a long-term investment rather than something you try to get quickly. Alright, now that I told you the blocks you have at your disposal, here are the 3 main strategies that I can think of for bed defense. The A block defense is the smallest and quickest defense to start off with. You just surround the entirety of a bed with a block worth of any block available to you. It's a defense that most people will start with, and it's a great defense to create a bigger defense out of. The advantage of this is that enemies just can't mine into the defense and hide out in there. But of course it's super easy to break and take to bed. It's quick, it's easy, but dirty. Next up, what I like to call the onion. The onion is a logical evolution of A block. It's thick and any block really works with it. However, this defense only really works if your core 8 block is hard to break. The enemy can still easily dig into the defense and wait it out, making the defense basically worthless. It is satisfying to see your defense become this large, but eventually the defense might get annoying for your teammates to get out and do stuff, especially tanks. While it might be a quick no-brainer, the onion isn't really that good of a choice when built extremely large. When at a manageable size, 2 layers should do. It's a good defense, but just a little more expensive. The cube, however, is even worse than the onion in terms of tunneling and waiting it out. If you just build a cube large enough, opponents will just tunnel in and break the bed that way. If you use weaker materials like sandstone and stained clay, it's basically a death sentence. Even then, cubes don't contour to the bed's position very well. In other words, it's not a good defense and should not be your first choice. Of course you can combine these defenses together, but if you want my opinion on which defense is best, the onion with 2 layers is pretty strong and can keep opponents away for a good amount of time. Well, enough time for your teammates to get to you and stab the hell out of the attacker. In the end, it all comes down to the blocks used with the defense. Just using wool isn't going to be a very strong defense, so choosing the right blocks is basically required. Explosive items are great at one specific thing, and that's creating a large explosion that can push players away and break blocks. There are only 2 in Bed Wars, but they do a good amount of damage. The fireball is a good ranged explosive weapon and is useful against those people who bridge up to the skies to try and get your bed. However, it's not very good at destroying blocks that aren't wool or flammable. For those who have already created large defenses of wool, a good strategy to get their bed defense is to have fireballs in hand to destroy the exterior and get to the interior with something else like TNT. Fireballs are also good for jumping, in which the player rides the explosive force of the fireball to get to higher end areas or to flank opponent. TNT is the real deal though, a single item that can destroy basically every block except for obsidian, and one that can allow for a jump across a large area. TNT is basically the best item for rushers. Quick and easy to place, but unlike fireballs where you can just stand on an island far away and shoot, the TNT has to be up close and personal, which means you have to be stealthy when jumping into a base to do a job. But the sheer collateral damage that the TNT can cause is devastating and is extremely useful for people rushing into a base. If you're a rusher, but you keep getting caught in your epic attempt to take the bed, I just fucking died. Potions will be your best friend. While they're not cheap in the slightest, they're extremely useful. The invisibility potion is, well, the most useful of all of them, turning the player into a specter, invisible to all but their teammates. For rushers and people who jump in with TNT and the like, the invisibility potion is basically a necessity. Without it, they'll surely perish at the hands of the other team, so keeping stealthiness at a maximum is a must. 2 emeralds is a lot to pay for it, especially in regards to the other potions, but it has so much potential that it's useful for any player to use. Speed potion is useful for getting away in a tough situation. See an enemy hurtling towards you, chug down that speed potion and run away. The problem with this potion is that it doesn't really have any more practical application beyond getting to places quicker and flanking enemies. And the same unfortunately applies to the jump boost potion, but with jumping up and down. But those potions are still useful, you're just gonna have to find a way to use them in a different way. This category might be a bit confusing to you. I already touched on blocks and their defense potential, but there are two more items from the defense category that I'd like to touch on. Firstly, the pop-up tower. It is exactly what you think it is. You place it down and a tower appears right in front of your eyes. Its use is mostly for people using bows and arrows and other ranged weapons in Bed Wars. It is very good at keeping other players away. Say you're running away from a person, you're at half a heart. You put on a pop-up tower and get away. It's a quick structure that gives you time to heal and to recoup. The second defensive item is the Dream Defender, which is just iron golems. They're expensive, but damn are they useful. They do have a timer, so you can't just go have everyone on your team place a Dream Defender and go ham on every bed. Basically giving one team a monopoly. That's not available and you can't do that. Plopping one down ensures safety for a good amount of time. You can do a kamikaze on a different team while your golems are back protecting. Do not rely on them solely though. Have a backup plan ready. Have someone at your base defending at least. I didn't know where to put some of these next items, so they're here. First off, the Ender Pearls. These are a rusher's best friend. They work how like they do off the Hypixel network, so the strat here is to teleport in and grab the bed. Ender Pearls are great because you can pair them with a host of any type and just go in and decimate any team you teleport to. They are expensive, so if your team gets to mid quickly, you can grab enough emeralds to grab an Ender Pearl and it will be worth your while. Next up, Knockback Stick. It's exactly what it sounds like, a stick with a knockback level of 2. While it might not seem useful in the short term, it is, and especially in the long term. For tryhards, the knockback stick is extremely annoying, but it's super useful for you, giving you more space to breathe, or for you to hit the enemy back into your now incoming teammate. And now finally, Bridge Eggs. These are some of the most greatest items in the game. Quick and easy bridges for a low price of only 2 emeralds, which if you rush quickly enough towards mid, you could grab, then do a quick rush. Bridge Eggs are OP as all hell, but that does not mean you should use that as your main plan. Bridge Eggs have normal egg physics, so you gotta aim in just the right spot to get the bridge perfectly connected. But of course, trying to do this stealthily is not really in your best interest. It's extremely obvious when a bridge egg is being shot towards the base, so your best bet is to use this when most of the team is gone, probably rushing other teams that aren't yours. Upgrades are integral to your team's survival. You can try to play without them, but you'll probably lose to the teams who actually decided to use them. There's a good amount, but there's only 2 you should really care about the most. Sharpness and protection, which I don't really need to explain to you all, you know what they are. There are some others like the Iron to Emerald Forge, which upgrade your main generator to allow much more items to be put out at a much faster pace, eventually allowing for emeralds to be spawned. So theoretically, you could play Bed Wars for diamonds only to then max out your generator and wreak havoc with your new found emeralds. Not a good plan however, so moving on to Dragon Buff. If people take too long to end the game, dragons will spawn to kill off the last remaining players. Each team will have at least one spawned in after a certain amount of time. Dragon Buff basically just adds one more. If you max this one out as much as possible, God help the people on the other side. Heal pool is something that's super useful. Getting chased by an enemy and you're on half a heart, make your way back to home base and get healed up. This is a great update, but it isn't one you should go for ASAP. Go for the more offensive upgrades and you'll have the best chance of survival. Then you'll have the time to throw in heal pool. Alright, you know your tools, now you gotta know your canvas. I'm not going to talk about every single map because there's a lot of Bed Wars maps, but I'm going to talk about 3 of my personal favorites. So without further ado, here are some of the canvases you might run into. Boltum was one of the first maps made for Bed Wars when it launched in 2017, and since I played Bed Wars during that time, Boltum sticks out to me the most. Bases have a more organic vibe to them, which fits with the theme of nature that this map has. You know, because Boltum actually means mushroom. Diamond generators are to your left and right, while emerald generators are at the middle of the map. Each base is in between at least 2 of the 4 diamond generators and are facing the middle. This is how most of the maps in Bed Wars are structured. Thought you should know this later. The middle has a bit of a gap nearby the bridge leading to the Emerald Gen, which can trip people up if they're not paying attention. Boltum is the baseline Bed Wars map, one that's pretty easy to understand. Unlike modern Bed Wars maps, this doesn't have any little islands you can bridge to and chill out on. It's a much more claustrophobic map, not a lot of space to breathe. The hills on each team's base allow for opponents to take the high ground and snipe you down or attack you from the top. It's a somewhat indefensible space, you can't just put a wall there. They'll just build on top of it and make it worse. Keep an eye on the top of your base, players will attack from there the most. If you ever need help in trying to attack back, just think of that one scene from Star Wars Episode 3. You know the one. Yeah, this one's named after Clint. In terms of the designs of the islands, they're completely changed, with the diamond gem being gold mine of sorts and the middle having a large water tower. Gives me Rango vibes in a way. There's something interesting about this map, however. The built-in bridge to mid. Yes, you heard me right. If you get to a diamond gen, you basically get free access to mid. No questions asked. The downside to this is, well, since everyone has access to this, you'll be seeing a lot more people at mid than usual, which means you'll have to fight even harder for your emeralds. Your main base is a saloon, which has an upstairs portion you can access from outside. Now, if Technoblade has taught us anything, is that this space can be used against you, so don't go up to an enemy if they're attacking from upstairs like that. You can always go upstairs from inside your base, giving you and your team the upper hand. But other than that, it's a pretty good map, extremely good for people to try out, and honestly, if you're a newbie to Bed Wars, try and go for this map first. Ashore is my personal favorite map out of every single one of the many Bed Wars maps available. Unlike the other maps which have a small amount of elevation, Ashore takes it to the next level. Not only is your base elevated, but the diamond gen and middle are also elevated. Being chased by an enemy at the top of a big lighthouse in the middle, jump down to one of the many water pockets nearby and save some time fighting them. Seeing an enemy bridge towards a diamond generator on the bottom layer, bridge over them using the element of surprise to catch them off guard. Ashore basically has elevation on its side, and if you can work with that, you'll master Ashore. So that's your toolbox. You now know what your tools are, how they work, and what they do. It's up to you on how to use these tools to dismantle the bed. But just know, from my room, from behind my microphone, I'm rooting for you. Now get out there and get some beds. Good luck, my man. Hey, it's the end of the video. Thanks for watching. I finally got the video done. It got corrupted sometime like in March when I was trying to get this done, and now it's here. Now we're here. It's all done. Thank God. So, thank you to the patrons at patreon.com/meta64, specifically the Random Melon. Thank you very much, my man, for the patronage. And if you'd like to become a patron as well, patreon.com/meta64 is where you should go. Okay. I'm going to be taking a break for the rest of April. You will be seeing videos again in May, not in April. I'll see you there. Thank you for watching, and thank you again also for 200 subscribers on YouTube. There will be a Q&A, that'll be your other video in April. See you then.